Now, it's very hard to define love, but we all know what it feels like to be in love and the effects it has on us. Pulsating heart, butterflies in the stomach, feeling like you are walking on air. But what actually happens to us when we experience the emotion of love and being in love? To chat to us about this is cognitive behavioural scientist Dr Jacqui Joubert. You can see we're all feeling very in love at the moment because our brains aren't really functioning.
You look beautiful.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, we all have that feeling of feeling chemistry with somebody when we meet them and we fall in love. But is there a science behind it? Do we actually feel a physical chemistry? Like, are there chemical things going on inside of our brains?
Yes, very definitely. Chemistry is a noun. It very definitely happens, and everybody experiences it to a certain extent. What happens in your brain and what happens in your heart is always in conjunction with one another.
Oh, not for me.
Well, normally, under normal circumstances. So, yes, there very definitely are neurotransmitters and there are hormones being produced in the process of falling in love, being in love, experiencing love, and also the attachment that goes with it, and the experience from both sides. Whether you're a man or a woman, you still have those experiences.
Really?
Yes.
I read once this thing, and I want to ask you if it's true, that being in love is the closest a normal person can get to being insane. Is it true? Does it make you a little bit crazy?
Well, it makes me think of that very well-known song, There Ain't No Cure for Love. So, cure for what? Is it insanity or is it an illness? I don't think so. It's just a very normal, basic human need, and we all experience that.
Are there different kinds of love?
Yes, there definitely are, yes.
Like what?
And it depends on the context. It depends on the people that are in the process of falling in love, loving, etc. It also depends on who you love, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a love relationship with family members, with your colleagues, with friends. So yes, there's definitely different kinds of love. And normally it evolves from passion, this real passion, exciting love, to a more compassion with stability and security that all these butterflies in your stomach can bring about. So, yeah.
So then is there a difference between, and I mean, this sounds obvious, but feeling in love and just loving somebody?
Yes, I would say there's a difference.
What is that difference?
This feeling in love is a surge of a sense of adventure and a novelty that's in your life, and you experience it in a very intense kind of way, and then it kind of polarizes to something more stable, to a more stability in the interaction with the other person, and a feeling of security. So, yes, very definitely there's evolvement of what happens.
So just from a neurological point, though, I mean, loving somebody, I suppose, can be quite consistent and last quite a long time. But what happens to your brain when you are in love, and can it last?
Can it last? I think I'm still a believer in love. Yes, it can last. And if we look at our guests that we have here this afternoon, then very definitely it can last. And the chemical reactions that happen in your brain with the neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which enhances your mood, it makes you feel excited, it makes you feel happy. It's a happy feeling that is created. And then if you add to that the hormones that are produced in your body at the same time, I mean, just looking at adrenaline, it makes your palms sweaty and you're excited. Exactly. The butterflies in your stomach. It very definitely contributes to the whole experience of falling in love.
And here's something that we all definitely know strangers to. What happens when you fall out of love?
Well, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
Some people say you only love when you fall out of love, meaning that you extend yourself past that feeling of excitement, which is really a transitory phase. It cannot last for 90 years. On the other hand, if you fall out of love, there may also be, depending on the circumstances and the context, it may be a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
And then you've got to give yourself time to work through that like a normal traumatic experience. But very definitely, you can fall in love again. So there is a good prognosis as well. Yeah.
Okay, so what you were saying now is basically falling in love and falling out of love are transitory phases. So they're not feelings of being, they're not feelings that can be permanent. You can't permanently have that butterflies in your tummy. So then what is that transition from falling in love to then actually just being?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important on that point to say one must continuously re-engineer your relationship so that you don't lose that cyclic feeling of being in love, the butterflies. You must still be able to get butterflies in your stomach when you see your wife or your husband or your partner in 10 years' time again. So the challenge in relationships, in my opinion, is to be able to re-engineer that continuously. The initial feeling and the initial emotion, keep in mind that romantic love is not emotion. It's basically a message that is sent from your brain to your body to say, this is great, this is survival, this is something that you've got to nurture. It's not the emotion, it's only a component of the emotion.
So if you have a look at some of our guests today, they've been able to consistently be in love, even though they've gone through so many trials and tribulations.
Yeah, wonderful.
What is it about a relationship that makes you have the ability to keep on re-falling in love?
The experience of being attached, the attachment phase, and I'm hesitant to call it a phase because it implies that it's going to be there and then it passes. It's basically a cycle, but the attachment phase, when you settle down and you've survived the initial sense of adventure in your relationship, and there's a longing to be together, and there's a long-term need to be together. It's a kind of a interdependence, but not dependent in a bad way. It's like we really need to be with one another because we want to. It's not the codependency, which is not a good aspect.
But then, having said that, what are the challenges, I suppose, in an intercultural relationship?
Well, I would imagine an intercultural relationship would have very unique challenges. A normal relationship has got its normal challenges, as we all know.
Tell
but
me
you've
about
got yes, but you've got your language barriers and communication barriers. Communication extends to so many other areas. It's not just talking, expressing yourself. It's also expressing your way of loving, your way of teasing one another, because that's something that you must keep in your relationship. It must be exciting, and that kind of communication very often has got very specific challenges in an intercultural relationship.
Thank you so much for chatting to us. You've actually just made me feel like I want to be in love. After the break, we're making vanilla-infused smoked salmon with minted pea mash, and we chat to a dietitian about how the importance of a healthy nutritional choices for your children. We'll be right back.
How you doing, YouTube fam? Thank you so much for watching, sharing and commenting. We love hearing from you, so be sure to keep up to date with all things Afternoon Express by clicking the subscribe button right here.